right. It's the Live Drive Archive. Live Drive Archive with your host, Frank Bundy. All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Broadcasting to you live from the Central Kingdom. Old Peking coming at you. I hope you're doing well. This 7th day of September in the year 2021. All is well here in the capital. I am in my van today. Camera mount's going bananas over here. I see it. Bobbing and weaving. Crazy old shit. Isn't a lot you can do about that. Speculations from Dreamland. They say the older you get, the less you remember your dreams. And I don't know if that's true, but it seems to be. I know that as I awake in the morning, I used to have a lot of vivid recall about what was going on in Dreamland. But recently, I've been waking up and in the midst of it and knowing what's going on, but then it just dissipates fast. It seems it dissipates faster than it used to. That's also cyclical though, because I was curious about that. And I looked back through some of my journals and I realized within the given course of a year, there's sections of months at a time where there'll be quite a few vivid periods of vivid dreaming. And then there'll be also these swaths of time where there isn't so much dream recall. Now, I hearken back to my younger days when I was deep in Master Knees material from 7 Star Communications and the Universal Society of the Integral Way. And he always said, or he mentioned in some of his public talks and books that the best sleep was dreamless sleep and not being disturbed by dreams. That you would get better rest and wake up with more energy, and that most of your sleep should be just dreamless. One interesting practice he did mention is that in Chinese culture they call a 睡个回笼觉, which means after you wake up, you go back to sleep for a while. And that's when you'll have most of your dreams. Or that's at least when you'll engage in active, lucid dream work. Because you've already rested, your energy reserves are replenished, and then you go back into dreamland for a while and do some dreaming. I see you, bro. But if you see me with my blinker on and then you still force yourself up into the scene, knowing that you could go around me on the other side, then you're just kind of making a dick move. Especially when you weren't there already, and then you're like, oh, look, he's trying to come over. I'll go ahead and gas it up and close the gap so that he doesn't have an opportunity. And look, this guy's got the exact same vehicle as me, but he's got a different paint job. Fascinating. Now, Ni was of the opinion, Master Ni Huaqing of 7 Star Communications, Yosan Chancellor of Yosan University, whom I lived with as a live-in assistant secretary, with the express desire to learn traditional Chinese medicine and deeper level Qigong and Taoist magic. And that's why I signed on. But what I ended up getting was something entirely different. A lesson in being realistic and practicality and the fantasy of pursuing that type of thing, at least in his opinion. Don't get too close to my fantasy. Don't be afraid to touch the hand of your creator. Stare into the lion's eyes. Is it lion's eyes or tiger's eyes? I think it's the lion's eyes. Yeah, so he said that you shouldn't worry about doing prophetic dream work and work on the astral that way. He said just get your good sleep and then jump up in the morning, or don't jump up, get up and do some meditation and then do your kung fu and get to work with your day. And don't worry about that magic shit, was his opinion. He said it would take care of itself. But at the same time, he also wrote in his books that there would be many naysayers and people who oppose your path on Tao, and that you should stick to the path you're on, no matter what other people say, and not to be thwarted. And so it's like, well, then this later teaching that I get from you directly, person to person, is that, are you just challenging my resolve and throwing up more obstacles in my path to see if I really have the strength of character to continue to pursue my path, even in the face of being advised against it by the Grand Master of Tao. So, let it be said that mystics tend to be miasmic. That, I don't know. Honestly, what I walked away with from that whole situation was the whole do as I say, not as I do type of thing. And I think that's the failure of the guru, is that they're not, oftentimes, I mean almost always, they turn out, they're just human. They're just regular people making their way in life, and the teaching is greater than the individual. And you can't nitpick and look too closely at the personality at any given point in time. And that cult worship, the cult of personality, has huge failings, because it never seems to fail that all of these individuals who know these and propound, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't matter. That go about and teach these great these great teachings that they advise everyone to follow, that they in and of themselves are not necessarily the best representatives of that. They're not the epitome. And then like a young guy like me who was really getting it, you know, immersing myself in the culture of Taoist incantations and doing my kung fu every day. And I was in the throes of healthy living and making good choices and fasting and going on adventures and stuff, that I was actually the epitome of the Taoist canon. And then it goes back to that part of the teaching where you really shouldn't look any further than yourself and just do the practice. Don't worry about the world, because it's always going to be in a mess. Get your house in order, they say. Don't worry about the world, and don't subscribe too much to these gurus, and don't give them too much money. Oh my gosh. Because there is no like legitimately, there is no like deep dark deep enlightening esoteric secrets beyond just that, beyond the great work. Eliphas Levi wrote, "The great work, what is it? It's the refinement of your personal character through many lifetimes, the complete and total mastery, creation of man by himself, and the total, I forget the exact wording, but the complete emancipation of his will, control of his mastery and control of his faculties and his future." And so it's interesting because I realized it back then, and I knew that like I was looking to get involved in this thing greater than myself, this traditional Chinese medicine. You know, he has this Master Ni. I wanted to be close to Master Ni to see what the secrets were. I thought maybe there was, because when you're young, you think, oh, there's some higher magic teaching, you know, that these mystics that have achieved a lot, because he had achieved a lot. You know, he got out of China during the Cultural Revolution, and he brought some of the ancient secret knowledge back with him, and there was a greater body of work, and I wanted to be involved in that. But putting people on a pedestal is a bad idea, even when they're like the grandmaster of the esoteric community. Better to have the grandmaster of an esoteric community as your ideal that you try to emulate than some pop cultural icon, you know, like Miley Cyrus, or who's out there these days, Lady Gaga. You know, those are certainly not role models for for young people. Who would be a role model that they're trying to put out there for young men these days? I don't even know. But yeah, I had good role models. My role models were the martial artists. Jet Li. I liked Jet Li a lot because he played parts in movies that were noble and honorable. You know, he did the whole Chen Zhen of Jing Wumen that fought against the Japanese occupation of China and Shanghai. And he played Huang Fei Heng, another great doctor martial artist who was a folk hero in Chinese culture. Among the Western, it was like at the time of my childhood, they were debasing Western culture so much that it was like we didn't have very many heroes to look up to. And you could see it today too. They're vilifying the cultural icons of the folk heroes of Western culture were vilified. And I mean, it was even starting back then. It's way worse now than it was back then. You know, these days they're trying to make it like a crime to be white. If you're a white guy, then you know you got you should have a whole shit ton of guilt and privilege and shit like that, which is just total fucking BS. I grew up near the hood, and if anything, I didn't have white privilege. I was constantly vilified and attacked by gangsters for being white. And already it was just a whole BS system. So that explains that Huang Fei Hung. He was the model for my early mid to late teens, and then early to mid 20s. And I'm actually lucky and fortunate. Oh Jesus, what is this guy doing? That I chose such a good that I had a good intellect and was able to recognize that. Still have. Huang Fei Hung. Yeah, good stuff. So my intent in coming over here was to immerse myself in the legitimate Taoist Kung Fu every day, learn about all the herbs, but what it migrated into after Master Ni telling me that I would he had me question whether or not I really wanted to be a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. Turned out I didn't. I just wanted to follow the path of the Magi and learn the magic and be involved in the philosophy and practice the arts. Do my Kung Fu, do my flute, whip out some nice calligraphy, work on my poetry, work on my own philosophical understanding of the cosmos, and integrate body, mind, and spirit to higher levels. And so I chose Liu Dongbing as my personal saint. He's one of the 8 immortals, one of the 8 great immortals. And I think every young man should do that. Like follow your own path and see it through. Don't give up halfway. That's not what I'm gonna do, for sure. I'm gonna work hard to synthesize Occidental and Oriental mysticism into a basic introductory package to anybody who might be interested in it. Yeah, that's the great work, baby. So there you have it. This video has gone way too long. I can see that now. It takes time to upload them if you go too long. So I'll cut it here, and I'll little shout out. I don't know, there's some sort of fucking traffic problem right here too. But a little shout out to all you good looking sexy people out in Happy Land. You know I love you. As above and into the abodes of a bright future. 再见 for now.